Hi there, my name is Neil Blevins, and this lesson is called Job Hierarchy in the Film and Video Game Industry. So this one is going to be a little bit more ad-libbed than I normally do, but I've received a number of questions of people asking things like, for example, what's the difference between a lead or a supervisor, or what's a principal artist? And so I've decided to do a real quick tutorial here, just sort of showing off some of the hierarchies that you're likely to see at a company that you're applying to. And hopefully that will answer your questions. So to start off, one of the annoying things is that when it comes to these job titles, every company has a little bit of a different hierarchy. So sometimes these will be the same jobs, but they'll be named different. Other times there's different levels. Maybe there's like 6 or 7 levels instead of 5 levels, like this example I'm going to show you. But once you know the basics, which is hopefully this will show you, generally what these different jobs do, and my experience being at a number of companies. Hopefully any job you apply for, you can look at it or ask them and see where you fall into this sort of hierarchy. So to start off, we're going to go with this 5-level hierarchy here. So you got junior, senior, lead, supervisor, and director. And then the way this works is, let's say that this is the environment team on a film. So being a junior means that you're probably going to be, let's say you're modeling simpler stuff like simple props or rocks or trees or that kind of thing. Senior would be somebody who's been there for a little while and they're modeling more complex things. Lead would be then the lead of all the people who are below here who are modeling stuff. And once you turn into a lead, you're managing people and probably going to more meetings and maybe doing a little bit of the work yourself as well. Then the supervisor, again, this is an environment team, so you'll probably have like a modeling lead and then maybe a shading or texturing lead and maybe a set dressing lead or something like that. So all those leads would be under the supervisor, and so their job would be to look over all of the environments. And then you have the director, or sometimes referred to as art director, or in film sometimes known as the production designer. And their job is to come up with the look of things and then supervise the supervisor's leads and on down the chain. And then the other thing to note is that as you go up this chain, you start off down here with reasonably minimal money, reasonably medium kudos, and then the challenge may not be the most difficult thing in terms of the job itself, even though it might be challenging for you because you're only a junior. And then as you work your way up this hierarchy, you tend to get more challenging work, you tend to get more money, and more kudos. So one of the big problems with this sort of hierarchy is that, let's say you start off as a junior and you do a really great job and do fantastic models, and you become senior after a couple of years and do more complex things, and then you get made into a lead. But let's say that you're really good at doing the job itself, but you're really bad at leading other people. And so in this kind of hierarchy, what happens is, let's say you're a senior person and you want to go up to the lead level because you want more challenge, more money, etc., but you're not actually appropriate for that sort of job. So what happens frequently is a company will take this person and turn them into a lead. They will then be a very bad lead and cause a lot of problems, and then all the senior and junior people will get angry and a bunch of them will end up quitting. And rather than firing the lead, the problem is that the company is like, well, we don't want to fire them because if we demote them, if we send them back down to senior, they're going to feel bad and they're probably going to quit. And they have a bunch of knowledge that the company needs to function. And so you end up with this really bad situation where you have somebody in a job that they're not appropriate for, and you have other people quitting in order to compensate for the fact that that person shouldn't have been a lead in the first place. Some of you might have heard this referred to as the Peter Principle, the idea that you keep rising up the chain of command until you reach the level of your own incompetence, at which point you stop. So if you look at that in an entire hierarchy, everyone is actually at the job that they're least qualified to do. So one thing I've been seeing in the last, let's say, 5 years or so, which I'm a big fan of, is adding a second hierarchy into here. And so the idea behind this kind of hierarchy is that people admit that there are some people who are really good at leading and being management, and there's some people who are really good at contributing. And those are not necessarily the same group of people. And so what they've done is they've set up 2 separate branches you can go up depending on which of these things you're interested in doing and which of these things you're naturally better at. So the idea here would be, once again, when you start off at the low level, you're a junior, you're doing the work, probably a simpler version of the work so you can get trained up. Then you move up to senior and do more of the work and do more difficult work. And then, depending on the direction you want to head and depending on what they think you'll be able to handle, either you could get brought up as a lead if your skill set is more in the management path, if you're really good at dealing with people. But if not, they can send you up over here, which is the individual contributor path. And so instead of becoming a lead, you become an experienced or advanced artist. And keep in mind, again, these names are different in every single place, so don't take this as the absolute truth, but these are some of the names I've seen for this kind of post before. So the idea is that the advanced or experienced artist is at the same level as the lead in terms of challenge, in terms of money, etc., but they're just doing something different. They're now doing a much more complex version of the senior role. And then you can continue going up here and you can go up to the next level, which is the expert or master level. So there, instead of doing, let's say you're in a character team making characters for a film project, instead of like maybe a senior or an experienced, you'll be doing more difficult characters. Maybe at the expert or master level, you're doing one of the main characters or one of the secondary characters. Or you get to do more different things, like maybe instead of just modeling the character, you can model and shade the character. And then the final level, which is the principal level, is the level where it's at the same level as the art director, except instead, again, of managing people, your main goal there is to be one of the main people who, for example, works on the hero character of the film. Or you might be a person who is really good at looking at the character-making pipeline and has a lot of opinions on what should happen at that level of things. So you can help define a whole pipeline which is used by all the people down below. And that's an example of having something that is more challenging to do, but at the same time is not putting you into the management path. And one last little note. Do keep in mind that people on the individual contributor path, that doesn't necessarily mean that they would be bad in the management path. There's lots of reasons to go this route instead of this route. For example, some people just really love the work and want to focus on that instead of managing people. Others might have life circumstances that makes it impossible to do the management side of things, and so they can go in this direction. So it shouldn't be seen as, oh, if you're on this side, it's any less than on this side in terms of the amount of skill, the amount of challenge, and other factors. It's just that either you are best at or you have chosen to do this side of things rather than this side of things. So anyway, a nice little short video this week. Hopefully this answers some of the questions people have about basic hierarchies. And again, there's lots of variety out there, and different companies have different things. Like I know some companies, instead of having a single senior spot, they have like senior 1, senior 2, senior 3. But at its core, this is basically the hierarchy you're going to find at a lot of companies. Or you might find it to be more like this one here. Although if you're working for a company that has this, and doesn't have this, it might be worth asking why that is, or asking, could you get this? Because again, I think there's a lot of advantages to having both a separate management path and a separate individual contributor path. So something to think about. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this interesting. If you want more art lessons like this, please go to neilblevins.com and go to the art lessons section. Or if you want to be notified the next time I post a new video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you very much.